to another edition of Simply Fresh Food with Chef Renee. Today, we're going to spice things up in the kitchen. We're going to make spiced pork loin, and we're going to add to that a rice, spinach, and cranberry dish. It's a favorite in my home. We're also going to add to that fried apples. You can't have pork without the apples, so let's get started on that. All right, to get started on our pork loin, you want to make sure that you cut your loin thin. Now, you can use the pork chops that have the bone in. That actually might even be tastier for you since you have that bone and some of the fat there. But I'm going to use the loin chops here, and I've sliced them horizontally to give me a thinner cut. Now, you don't want them as thin as you would for, let's say, a masala or piccata, but you do want them thin enough that they don't take a long time cooking. Now, so this was one loin, and I cut it horizontally, and now I have these two beautiful patties. I'm going to do the same with this. I left this one with the skin on so you could see how I take that off. Let me get something here to wipe my hands. Gonna move that over. Let's cut this off. And I'm just gonna trim off this. Now, there's nothing wrong with leaving that on there, but for me, since we're gonna have such a thin piece of pork, I'm just gonna go ahead and take it right off. Just make sure you got your nice cut so you'll be happy and everyone else will be happy. This is actually a really good dish, and when I make it in my home, there's hardly any left, if any at all. So I usually make extra, thus the thin pieces. All right, so we're just going to trim that right off. All right, and then to cut it horizontally, you simply lay it flat, put your hand up, watch your fingers, and you just run your knife. You can run, I'm using here this chef's knife, but you can use a fillet knife or something that's easy for you to use. All right, now, so I have that cut, and I have a little garlic infused oil because I wanted the porks to have a little bit extra taste. Now I have here the light brown sugar. I'm going to add to it paprika, smoky paprika. I'm going to add some garlic powder, some salt, not too much. And I'm going to, I'm going to add some pepper. And we're going to get that all stirred up. You want to just mix up your spices so that when you go to sprinkle, everything's all set. I'm just going to mix these all up with my hand. Now, I have my pan warming up. So while it's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and drizzle some oil in there. And I smell the garlic because I use garlic infused. That tells me that this is ready. I'm just going to move that pan. I also lowered the temperature because my pan is really ready. All right, let me move that off for a moment. Let's let that cool down a bit. You do have to watch that, especially me with the induction burners, because I set it on a temperature and it's like there. That's the beautiful thing that I do love about them. All right, so this is all mixed up. I'm going to just sprinkle this generously all over. Now, another reason that I'm paying particular attention to the temperature of the pan is because we have brown sugar in here. That's going to give me a dark char on the pork, which is what I want, but at the same time, sugar will burn in the pan, so you want to watch that too. And be careful too not to overcrowd the pan. So we're going to flip this over. And it's okay to make a mess. And I'm dipping my hand back in this seasoning because it's only for the pork. There we are. And I'm just going to massage that in. I'm breaking up any major large chunks of sugar. So we have that all done. All right, now we'll put the pan back onto the burner. Let's get that back up to our temperature. And I have it on like a medium, almost medium high heat, but really medium. Add just a little drizzle more of oil. And we will put this over on the side and we will start adding our pork. Yep, nice and hot. Let's drizzle just a little bit more oil on here because remember that sugar is going to sear very quickly, or it's going to get dark really quickly. And I do this at home. Just slap them on top of each other and get everything going. There's the sear that we are always listening for. Now, you don't want to overcrowd the pan because you want them to cook to get a nice color. I'm going to go ahead and put 3 in here. And my pan does look rather crowded, but there we are. So we're going to let that cook. Look at these. Don't they look beautiful? Oh, they look fabulous. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to finish up the pork, and when we do that, we'll get started on the gravy. All right, so we have all of the pork out of the pan, and don't they look just beautiful, and they smell just delicious. You know, that sugar and the smoky paprika, ready. So we are going to go and take care of the gravy. All right, we're going to start with some butter here. I have a couple of things that we're going to put in there into the gravy. I have some red peppers here, some red bell peppers. So we got the butter melting. We put the red bell peppers in. And I'm going to add, as soon as this is all melted and the bell peppers are cooking and fragrant as they are now, I'm going to add the flour to it. There we are. Now, we want to stir and mix everything up. Look at how beautiful that is. Very nice aroma to it, too. The sweet red peppers and butter. I could just smell that. Yum, yum. Now, we're going to add also a little paprika. Again, we're going to do a little black pepper, that's fresh ground. And I have here apricots that I have cut up. And they are dried apricots that we've cut up nicely. It's all going to add a delicious sweet flavor. Now, I've saved the juices for last. We have white wine, which that will deglaze any of the flour that began to stick to the pan. See? Look at that. Oh, what a nice aroma. And I have apple juice. Now remember, we're going to have some fried apples later, so this works beautifully. And we're going to stir only until it gets thick. Now, while we're doing that, it's really important that we cover up the pork so that the juices redistribute. But I wanted to leave that off so you would know. Now, those juices will start to redistribute, and that way you'll have a nice juicy pork when you slice into it, no matter where you slice. All right. So this is thickening up. This smells really, really delicious. And look at that beautiful color. That's the paprika in there. I think that that's very good. And it has a little kick to it as well. I think the black pepper gives it this nice little kick. So I'm going to turn off the burner, move some of that out of the way, and we're going to strain it. Now, if you want, it's perfectly okay to have the sauce with the peppers in there on your plate and the apricots. Nothing wrong with that. I'm going to strain it just for a cleaner sauce, and that is because we're going to have the fried apples, and I want them to appear different instead of chunks. Now, what I did at home when I made this dish or this gravy was I saved these ingredients that I'm straining. You can toss them, but I actually saved them and put them on top of a piece of toasted bread, and they were delicious. Or a garnish for a soup or something. Now look at that beautiful sauce. Here, let's look for another spoon. Look at this beautiful, beautiful silky sauce. Isn't that lovely? Now this sauce, you can tell it's ready because it sticks to the back of the spoon. And that's when you know you got a nice thick sauce. We are going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we will start with our rice, spinach, and cranberry dish. Yes! Check out Simply Fresh Food with Chef Renee to learn new delicious recipes. Watch as I show you how to use fresh ingredients for healthy eating at every meal. Check your local listings for showtimes. Welcome back, and we are starting with our rice, spinach, and cranberries, and then we're gonna roll right into our apples. Let's get going. Now I'm going to saute onions in the pan. This dish is a favorite in my house. I one day was trying to think of, I really wanted to sweeten up my spinach dish, and I couldn't think of what else I wanted in there, but at the same time I wanted some cranberries and I wanted some nuts and other things, just one of those moments. So I put the cranberries right into the dish, and I had a little rice, threw it in there, and what do you know, my family loved it. So we're going to do that today. I think already in the last maybe 3 weeks, I've made it 6 times. It's very quick, very easy dish. All right, so let's get our burner turned up. I'm going to drizzle a little oil into the pan. And I'm going to go ahead and chop the onion. So here we have our onion chopped. Our oil is hot. There we are. Okay, that's it for our onion. Let's move that. We are going to swirl that around a bit. And we're not frying the onions. We're just going to let them saute till they get translucent. If you think that you'd like more olive oil, go right ahead and add it. That's what I drizzled in the pan. To the onions, I'm going to add the cranberries. Now, one other thing is, and you can use water or you can use chicken broth. I keep some on the side ready just in case things look like they need a little liquid to them. It's up to you. You can add either, or you don't have to add it at all. All right, that's mixed enough. Now, I'm also going to go ahead and add in the rice. Now, this is where you want to be careful. You want to be careful because you don't want the rice to stick. So to that, just a teeny bit more oil. Now all together, you know what? I've done not even 2 tablespoons of oil. So these are quick drizzles. And this is 2 cups of cooked rice. Now that looks beautiful by itself. If you wanted, let's say, a yellow rice, you could add turmeric to it or curry. I, for one, can try to keep the rice in the pan, right? All right, so there we have it. I'm going to add a little bit of chicken stock that I have here. And I'm going to take the spinach and chop it up. Let's get this out of the way. This has already been washed and pat dry. And it's just so that the spinach cooks up and it's in small bites. That's all, and not stringy. All right. So we got our first bunch of spinach going in. And this makes a very colorful dish. So I'm going to get that tossed. Look at all those colors. Aren't they beautiful together? Just gorgeous. This is beautiful. What is it with me today? Now, to this, you definitely want to add some salt and some pepper, you know, but you can add as much or as little spinach as you like. And don't worry about the stems. They're going to get chopped up and eaten. That's all right, too. There we are. That might be enough for the dish here. Let's get that stirred. You want to keep it moving so that all of the spinach gets cooked. Look at that. Beautiful. All right, I think that is just fabulous. I'm going to season it with salt and pepper, and I think we are set with our dish here. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Let's add some salt and pepper. Get that stirred, and we are done. There we are. And we're going to put the lid on this, and we are going to get started with our fried apples. We are ready to finish up with our apples. I'm going to add the butter to the pan. can't have apples without butter. Now, the apples are sitting in a lemon water, and it keeps them from immediately turning brown. Now, you can't leave them in there all day, but it does keep them from turning brown. And I have one left here just to show you how we peeled it. I cored the apple with the apple core, and now I'm just peeling the skin off. Now, if you'd like, you can absolutely leave the skin on, but I prefer it for this dish off, so I'm going to take them off. And I just cored, and I'm using my rounded peeler for it. There we are. And if it does turn brown at all, just you can either, cut it off, or it's okay. It's going to be in the dish. All right, so since we have these already in my hand, let's do those. You want to be careful. You can pat your apples dry. I'm going to leave a little water on them because it's going to help with my sauce. So we're putting our apples in here. There we are. Apples and butter, what is better? Nothing. All right. And I'm going to add to that, here are the ingredients for the fried apples. We have sugar, and it looks like a lot of sugar, but we're going to work on that. And we have cardamom. We have a little sage. We have cinnamon. Already, I can smell the delicious, earthy, nutty, fragrant smell of the cardamom and the sage. And then there is our cinnamon. And to that, we're going to add applesauce. All right. And that chunk of apple was just for me. So I'll take care of that later. All right, now, so I'm just going to stir this around a bit. And this works out to be just a delicious little side treat. Traditionally people do eat, or a lot of people eat pork with applesauce or some sort of apple on the side, whether it be an applesauce and apple slaw. So we're going to make our little fried or sauteed apples. I'm going to turn up the burner a little bit, turn the heat up in here. They smell delicious. I like them a little firm, but, still to have something to them. Now, what I have left that I'm going to add to the apples is I have apple juice. Or I'm sorry, apple cider, not to be confused with apple juice, apple cider. So when this thickens up, the sugar is in there, and you have, all of the other spices in there. They're going to thicken up because that's what sugar does. We're going to add some liquid to it. You can add water. You can add orange juice is good. Lemon juice is good. A little lemon juice, not nearly as much of the apple cider, or you can use apple juice if you'd like. I am going to add a little bit of lemon juice to this, and that actually helps balance out all the sweetness, including the sweetness from the apple cider. This is a great, quick little thing to have, and very easy to turn into a dessert. Extremely easy. All you do is put it in a separate dish and put some ice cream with it. That's it. That's it. Very easy. All right, so that is cooking just the way that I want it to cook. I'm going to add a little apple juice. You see how that's thickening up there? So we're going to add the apple cider. Look at that. How beautiful is that? I'm going to let this come back to a boil. And while I'm waiting, we're going to add a little apple juice I'm sorry, a little lemon juice to it. There we are. Let's put that over to the side. All right, I'm going to allow my Gala apples. That's the kind I'm using here, but they work with Granny Smith. Or if you use Pippin apples, make sure you add that sugar, and you might want a little more. We are going to put the lid on, let these come back up to the boil as they have, steam just a little bit, and we are going to take a break. Now, when we come back from our break, it'll be time for us to plate and to do my favorite, eat it. Yes! So I will see you in just a few moments. Hi, I'm Chef Renee of Simply Fresh Food with Chef Renee, and people who know me know that I cook with the freshest ingredients. It's important to use fresh and organic ingredients whenever available. Not only does cooking with fresh ingredients create healthy eating habits, but it also means great tasting food. So join me in shopping locally when you can. All right, so let's get some of this food on the plate. I'm first gonna drizzle some of this delicious, beautiful looking sauce on the pan. I just wanna make sure that my pork doesn't slide all over the place. All right, so we are going to grab one of those. There we are. Let's put some of this delicious, beautiful looking spinach rice with cranberries. You know what? I should have lifted that. Let's do it that way. There we are. Just a little more. Excellent. And lastly, this delicious looking, smelling, tasting apples. I'm gonna drizzle some of that sauce on there. Here, let's do our little garnish. Can't forget my white wine that I've paired this with. You know what I have also? Remember, I told you when we strained the pork, we're gonna use some of that. And then I'll take a little bit more sauce here, or a little bit more. There we are. Garnish. Look at that. Bon appetito to me. I'm going to dig in, but before I do, I want to thank all of you for inviting me into your home, and I want to thank all of my sponsors for the show today, and I want to say, try this. I'm sure you'll love it. I know I am. I'll see you next time.
Simply Fresh Foods with Chef Renee is sponsored by Red Tail Heart and Bull Wrap Cookware.